Good morning, world.
You ain't black.
I'm Cedric.
And I'm Brian, and this is Cedric and Brian.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, before I get into the reasons why I ain't black, we want to touch on something that we talked about last week. The young man for the Orlando Magic, Jonathan Isaac, the one who did two things. He did not kneel for the national anthem, and he did not don a Black Lives Matter t-shirt. Kudos to him. We applauded him for standing up on his beliefs and principles.
We actually got a thumbs down on that episode.
That's good.
I know.
Okay, we didn't get a comment while we got a thumbs down.
If you're going to thumbs down us, comment. So have a conversation. You know, we want to hear other points of view.
Yep, exactly. Sometimes you do things and you stand on principle, you stand on your morals and ethics. Sometimes you will be rewarded for that. And I think Jonathan Isaac is in the process of being rewarded for that because as of last week, he is number 2 in the NBA in jersey sales behind none other than the king himself, the anointed one, LeBron Woke James.
And who heard of this kid, Jonathan Isaac, before all this happened? So to have the number 2 jersey.
I got to order mine.
Yeah, I know. I thought you had already ordered it.
No, I have one jersey. I have one jersey. I'm a Laker fan. I have a Kobe Bryant jersey. I will always keep that.
You don't have a Magic jersey?
I had one. I don't know. I did with it. I used to have a Magic jersey, but Magic definitely got Kobe. I can see myself ordering a Jerry West one, but I'm definitely getting a Jonathan Isaac jersey.
Can you wear a Jerry West? That's not cultural appropriation.
I know I'm not a white. I got to think about that. I don't want to offend anybody.
Yeah, because I never see a Kobe jersey on a white guy.
It's a damn shame. NBA viewership is down 12%. And again, I'm not an NBA sports economist, but I think as long as this stuff continues, the Black Lives Matter movement, the ostracizing of people that pay their bills, with the exception of China, I think viewership is going to continue to go down. And ABC, the flagship station that carries a lot of the NBA games and more importantly carries the finals, I think they're down 16%.
Yeah.
Since all this stuff happened. So
and people want to say that it's because of COVID and all that. But when it first came out, it was still lower because of COVID. But then after that first couple of days and people saw all of the virtual signaling, it dropped even more.
Yeah.
So because I know people, you included, who's a huge basketball fan.
You know me.
Won't even watch the Lakers because of this ridiculousness.
I don't have any interest.
Yeah.
It's not the love of the sport anymore. It's something so much bigger than the sport. And I just can't get behind it.
And like I said last time, we watch sports to get away from all of this BS and to see it in your face. And then you can say, oh well, I just won't watch the national anthem. But then they have it on the court and on the jerseys, all those virtual signal names. It's like, come on.
That's just so dumb. Peace throws a lob to tranquility. Assist by say his name out loud. It's like, this is just so dumb. We know this is old news, but as the election draws closer and closer in November, we're finding out about more and more black people who ain't black. And that was insulting because that piggybacks on the whole Rutgers University and Washington thing because Joe Biden had to make a point to say the word ain't because heaven forbid a black person should be able to say people who are not black, or if you use the contraction, aren't, A-R-E-N apostrophe T, because we can understand that. So as black people, he wanted to make sure we heard his voice. So he said, then you ain't black. I was like, oh, now I know what you're saying, Joe. Now you're speaking my language.
Well, at least he didn't say, you isn't
black.
You isn't black.
You isn't black. And it's so easy, and again, whether you're a Republican or Democrat, whatever party it is, it's so easy to take a soundbite from any candidate and just run with it and make fun of it. I mean, the orange man, he's been subject to that for the last 3 years.
But even, Charlemagne the God, who actually did the interview?
Right.
He even told Biden to shut the F up.
Right, right. And I know he was Biden was doing his best to be, what's what I'm looking forward to associate and to relate to his constituents. But there's a big reason why blacks vote Democrat. It's like, I don't think since 1968, I don't think the Republican Party has received more than 13% of the black vote. Yeah. And that's mainly because of loyalty. It's a blinded loyalty, but it's loyalty nonetheless.
So as a white guy, this is what, and I told you this episodes ago, was part of the reason why I identified as a Republican even when I was too young to know about politics, was Abraham Lincoln and freeing the slaves.
Right.
So, and he was a Republican. So how did all of a sudden, and the Republicans actually helped push through the Civil Rights Acts. So I don't know how it all switched.
I think a lot has to do with the word indoctrination. Because me growing up in my family, the only thing I heard was praise and adoration for anybody who was Democrat. So as a young child, you get inoculated into that, just like I was inoculated into being a Laker fan.
Yeah.
I grew up in Los Angeles. It was Lakers, 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 Lakers. Also, my family, they're very hardcore Democrats, being born in the South, in Alabama and Mississippi. And all we heard was Democrats, Democrats, Democrats. And after a while, you get to a point where you start becoming capable of independent thought, and you start doing research, which I encourage everybody to do. But the only problem is that once a black person veers out of the Democratic Party, then that's when the name calling and the backbiting starts, and then you're a sellout, and you're a coon, and how could you do this? And my question is always, well, explain to me why you're voting Democrat outside of the reason that, well, our great-great-great-grandfather did. But if you look at black culture, conservative by nature, and we're using generalizations here. I'm not saying all black people, all white people, but conservatively, generally speaking, blacks are a conservative group of people. Back in the days of slavery, when families were broken up, family was huge to black people. And that's what bonded us together in the South, the Sunday dinners and cooking large dinners and going to church all day. And so when you think about conservative values and values and morals and ethics and doing what's right for the people as a whole, that has a tendency to lend itself toward the Republican Party.
Now, do you think that this movement on the left, you think they're trying to separate the black community from religion as part of this? Because it seems like a lot of that, what we talked about with Black Lives Matter, they're trying to take religion out of the black community.
Yeah, well, Black Lives Matter, they talk about, getting away from the nuclear family. And how do you do that? You take the father out of the family. You dissect the unit, you break apart the family unit, and now you have confusion, and you have separation, and you have fighting. That's exactly what's going on.
And then we saw that with the Museum of African American Studies. They even talked about how Judeo-Christian religion is a white thing,
right?
How it's white culture,
right?
So it seems to me that that's part of the push, is to say. And I'm not a religious guy. I know you're much more religious than me. But it seems like they're trying to strip that away from the black community because that's another way to get them not to vote conservative, because people think of conservative as religious. But right. I know plenty of libertarian/conservative or right-leaning libertarians that are much more conservative in thought, even though they're not religious.
Right.
They're, agnostic, atheistic conservatives. It's not just bound to religion, but in the black community, it seems to be, and it seems like they're trying to separate that.
If you can separate, like we talked about a few weeks ago, whether you look at it as you point out that I'm religious, if you look at it as a true biblical story, just a good old-fashioned historical account, the Tower of Babel, you separate the language, you get the language confused, then you can tear apart any people you want. Whether it be, you go as far as look at it as a sports team, you get people to separate and disagree and argue, it crumbles suddenly.
Yeah. And that's that whole tribalism that they're pushing.
When you step out of the Democratic box as a black person, you have to be thick-skinned, because you're going to take some heat, you're going to take some backlash, and you have to be able to articulate why you feel the way you feel. And it's been my case, and again, I'm using a generalization. I'm not saying all. Normally, I try and articulate my point as to why I feel the way I feel, and I try and use stats and figures. I'm usually, not all the time, I'm usually met with a lot of emotional knee-jerk response.
What does Ben Shapiro say? Facts don't care about your feelings.
Facts do not care about your feelings, And I told my son this. We were talking about something else. I said, just because someone's offended doesn't mean you're wrong. So I think with the Democrats, I think it's not really so much them going after you as far as skin color.
So it's not melanin.
It's not melanin or how much melanin you have in you. It is more about going after the culture and trying to tear the culture apart.
So they're going back to saying that Republicans are racist then because of slavery and all that.
Yes.
Which again confuses me, because as far as I know, and correct me if I'm wrong, the KKK used to be basically a platform for the Democratic Party back in the Jim Crow South and all of that.
Yes.
And so I don't know, again, we talked about, I don't know how that flipped. You don't have to go back that far. So there was Robert Byrd, who was a senator for, I think, one of the longest sitting senators before he died. In the 40s, he was part of the KKK, and then from the 60s on, he was a Democratic senator. So he was forgiven for all of his sins, apparently, for being an actual racist.
Right.
I guess he found his way, but in today's culture, nobody can find their way, right?
Right.
Because once you're canceled, you're canceled.
You're done.
But Robert Byrd, for some reason, was not canceled for being an actual KKK burn the cross in front of your house racist.
Right.
So that's what I don't get. Again, like I said before, being a Republican partly because of the anti-slavery thing of Lincoln. So it always confuses me. Cedric has more background just because he was just raised, like you said, where you're just assumed to vote Democrat if you're black.
Right.
And I never got that. But again, I think that most Jews vote Democrat also, which I don't understand.
I didn't know that.
Of course, some of your big prominent Jews are Shapiro and Prager, who happen to be conservative. But I think as a voting bloc, I think they do, but I think it's because most Jews in the United States are secular.
Right.
So maybe your religious Jews, which there are very few, vote conservative, but most of them are secular. And Marx was a Jew.
Right.
Soros is a Jew. So Bernie is a Jew. So I think, and we'll have to look into that more. But yeah, again, it's another minority group that votes Democrat.
Right.
We just want people to know, and this is why we do this. So you've got a black and a Jew sitting in front of you. Sounds like the beginning of a joke, doesn't
Dr.
it?
Seuss book. A black and a Jew are sitting in front of you.
You can see this groundswell. What does the media call it now? They call it the silent majority. So that's coming up. And they debunk it. There's no silent majority. The polls still show Biden ahead. We will see. I don't know. I have concerns, and speaking to, if there's any Democrats left watching this, I have concerns, honest concerns, if I was going to vote for Biden with his cognitive decline. So Cedric, we lose our space when we're talking, and sometimes we lose what we're going to say.
Right.
But this seems to be getting pretty serious.
Yeah, like I said, you don't want to make fun of it because there seems to be
absolutely don't want to
something
make fun
serious going on there. But that's part of the art of political war. It's just to find the smallest little weakness and jump on it like blood in the water of sharks. But you don't want to make fun of this guy because you and I talked about this in great detail. It's like they can't have this man run as their president for the Democratic Party.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Kingswood Community Center. Actually, that's the one down I used to work. That's a joke. Unnecessarily, now we have over 120 million dead from COVID.
We choose unity over division. We choose science over fiction. We choose truth over facts.
Only arrest for the purpose of dealing with a felony that's committed, and I don't count drunk driving as a felony.
Look, tomorrow's Superstar Tuesday, and I want to thank you all. I tell you what, I'm rushing ahead, aren't I?
Well, yeah, you do, but look, Pat, look, here's the deal. The rapidly rising I don't know. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down.
I feel bad. I honestly watch some of these clips. I feel bad with Joe Biden. But again, like Cedric just said, do you want him running the most powerful country in the world? Now, of course, we know he's not going to run it.
Right.
He's a puppet head.
Yeah, they get him in there and then declare him incompetent to run, and then they'll just slide someone else in there and like, oh, we're doing this for you guys. And then that's going to be a damn shame.
But why is that right? I know there's so many people that hate Trump so bad that they'll do that. If you vote for Trump, you ain't black.
So now I'm confused. Now I got to go home and look at my birth certificate and see what it actually says. Because all these years I thought I'm black, but obviously if I vote for Trump, I ain't black.
Yeah. So we're just going to leave you with this.
Wait, Brian, before you do that, make sure those of you out there, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the bell, and share this video with everybody you know. Until next time, I'm Cedric.
And I'm Brian. Watch this.
Wait, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.